conference realignment, and the monsters are now starting to take over the earth. They were kind of contained for a bit. It's gone now. That gate broke at Jurassic Park. It's like, oh man. Conference realignment is starting to become the North versus the South. And will the Pac-12 survive? How did you guys see that when it started to break? Adam, I'll go with you. How did you see it? And then do you think we'll have much more movement in the next 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, and it's shifting the entire dynamic of college football. I mean, remember the days when like geography and rivalries actually mattered in college football, and now you got USC joining and UCLA joining the Big Ten for one reason, right? It's all TV revenue. I mean, that's the only reason it's happening, and it's another trend in the move towards the professionalization of college sports. You know, good or bad, whether you like it or not, NIL, conference realignment. But I think, like you just said, George, Pac-12 is going to be the big loser of this whole thing. I think you're going to see Oregon, Washington, Cal, and Stanford, in my prediction, join the Big Ten, and then the Big 12 is going to go after the Arizona schools, going to go after Utah and in Colorado, and then that's the end of the Pac-12 as we know it. And I think obviously Pac-12 has been in a tough spot the last few years, has like the worst TV deal in football. I mean, you know, you can live on the West Coast and not even be able to watch Pac-12 teams half the time with the Pac-12 network. So I think that's going to happen. We're going to have the 4 major conferences in college football, but I know there's tons of predictions out there, but I mean, I love it. I mean, I think out of it comes a lot of big time rivalries too. I mean, Penn State USC is going to be a sweet game to watch every year. You know, I think that's going to be fun. And, you know, remember when everyone was up in arms about Texas A&M going to the SEC, and everyone said, well, Texas and Texas A&M aren't going to play each other anymore. And now Texas A&M's full identity is that they're in the SEC, you know, so it all works out at the end of the day.
Yeah. Hey, I'm stoked. I'm stoked about it, bro. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I don't know where they're going to land, but I'm absolutely stoked about it. And I think, because here's the reality of the situation. Group of 5 programs and really the majority of the Pac-12, for all the reasons Adam mentioned, they were completely out of the mix. And so it was time to shake up the landscape of college football. And I know there's going to get teams, George, you spoke of this multiple times. There's going to be teams that fall by the wayside and they don't have a chance in hell to be in any of the mega conferences, if you want to call it that. But you can also, on the other side of that coin, you can look at what's already going on with BYU, with U of H, with Cincinnati, with Central Florida. Those are 4 programs that before this past season, and let's be honest, that was a crapshoot that Cincinnati got into college football playoffs. There's going to be more teams that are going to be in a power conference or mega conference or whatever you want to call it, that were prior group of 5 teams that now have the opportunity to play for a national championship, legitimately start the season and play for a national championship. And the Pac-12 stuff out west, I mean, the reality of it is there is a better way of playing football that includes the West Coast than what was going on with the Pac-12. And I think, and I don't know where it's going to land, Adam. I have no idea. But when it's all said and done, those teams are going to be in a better place. Even the ones that are left over that end up in the Big 12 are the ones that are left over that have to just kind of pick and grab the last few spots. They're going to be in a better position, much better position, week to week, money to money, year to year. They're going to be in a better position than they were in the Pac-12, in my opinion.
No doubt.
I can't remember a more mismanaged situation than the Pac-12, and it was the suits that the suits left the gates unlocked, left it running, and went on inside. Like, how could you do that? A historic conference. You got iconic brands that sit out here, and you're west of the Rockies. No one should be able to come west of the Rockies and invade this coastal conference. They were in a position, what was it, 5-10 years ago, where they had Texas and Oklahoma on the hook themselves, and they were trying to fish out 2, 3, 4 Big 12 powers. And all of a sudden, you're out. And with all the deal making going on with visibility and TV, Adam's right. You sign a deal where your average West Coaster has no shot at seeing games, certainly not at the bar or at a restaurant. I don't understand how it was so poorly mismanaged. You have so many great programs, academics, coaches, everything. And Adam, I agree with you. A couple of those guys will be gone off to the Big Ten, and the rest will be looking around, and they'll have to join some boys and girls club or some YMCA ball.
Hey, G, I think one thing though that's really cool, and I don't know where everybody's going to land, but I'll just use the SEC as an example. It's a crying ass shame that me, you, Adam, all the guys involved, all the big time college football fans don't get to watch Texas A&M and the University of Texas play each other. We're gonna get to see that again. And there may be some big Pac-12 rivalries. George, you'll be able to tell me better. I'm not a big Pac-12 guy. You'll be able to tell me better than anybody. But with USC and UCLA, you're still gonna get that rivalry. You're gonna be able to get those big boys out of the Big Ten where they're gonna create rivalries whether they like it or not. I just think it's a move for the better across the board, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and you talk about rivalries, like you got even ones like Pitt and Penn State. Why are they not playing every single year? I mean, that's a travesty. And not that the conference realignment will affect those two specifically, but just the consolidation of everything will make for scheduling easier, and all the games that we all want to see, happen and be able to happen every single year. You mentioned the Pac-12. I remember trying to watch last season, and in conference, it was like Arizona State versus Colorado, like a big in-conference game. And you couldn't watch it. I mean, I was like, no, I didn't have Pac-12 network, so you had to buy a subscription. I mean, it was like that would never happen in the SEC or the Big Ten or any major conferences like that.
George, let me get you real quick. I want your opinion on this, man. Yeah. The NCAA has failed miserably. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. They have failed miserably relative to managing their people. And this is becoming the wild, wild west. Whether we're talking about paying players or we're talking about conference realignment. What's your thought about the NCAA and kind of its responsibilities for the way that things have unfolded and what it's going to look like in the long run?
To me, this thing is grown past the NCAA. The NCAA is that it's that 65, 70-year-old grandma, and she has like a full-on bull mastiff, and now it had 5 more. So it's like there's no way she's going to be able to walk all these dogs around the block. She cannot do that. She can't do that. So what I think it has to go now, Clint, to your question is, Adam said it out of the gate. It's getting professionalized. They're going to have to create a commissioner. They're going to have to create a commissioner. I heard from a mentor of mine who's kind of had some of those shadow conversations. They're going to have some kind of salary cap, quote unquote. And I hate to even use the term, not on a player per se, but what a team can spend or collectively a lot or something like that. Otherwise, you got the Yankees out here lining up against the Mudcats in the same conference. How are they supposed to recruit against each other? Like, it's just not going to happen. So
isn't that Casey at the bat? Casey at the bat? Didn't Casey at the bat? Didn't he play for the Mudcats, baby?
Come on. Yeah. Mudcats, Mud Hens. It's just the monsters are now taking over the earth, and it's incumbent that we start to move and find some you're going to have to find some ways to at least corral them or keep the monsters with the monsters. Like otherwise, like I think this whole thing is going to get ripped apart. But I do agree with you on your heart. The core of your thought on this is change is going to be exciting. Like we're here now. All that thinking about, oh man, I wish this, I would. No, we're here now. But also what all has to happen to go with this. And Adam, to your point, rivalries like Penn State, Pitt, the 2 Texas big boys will, now they have to lock up. But Clint, to your point, the Pac-12 programs, that's what September's for. If USC wants to play Arizona and it's non-conference, call them up, dance with them. I think it'd be interesting. And what'll also be interesting is the 2 big basketball schools. What happens to Duke and Kansas? Football-wise, I just don't see people like, burning up their phone line trying to get them. but you got two of the biggest programs in all of college sports that are going to be kind of just hanging out because their football can't get invited anywhere.